Microsoft's January updates are causing some Windows 11 machines to fail at boot with a blue screen, and we've got a sudden dump of vulnerabilities hitting the database from, well, 5 years ago.
I'm Morgan. That's Alex. Let's break it down.
We have to start with this weird backlog of vulnerabilities that just hit the NVD. We're looking at 3 specific unquoted service path flaws: CVE 2020-36933, CVE 2020-36934, and CVE 2020-36935.
Wait, 2020? Alex, we're in 2026. Why are we talking about bugs from 6 years ago? Did someone just find a dusty binder in a basement?
It feels like it. These have been in the disclosure queue for a long time. Sometimes vendors take years to coordinate patches, or the reporting process gets stalled, and they only hit the official database yesterday. Don't let the 2020 date fool you. This is fresh intel for anyone running these specific tools.
Okay, so it's new old news. You mentioned they're all unquoted service path issues. That's a classic, right? I feel like I haven't heard that term in a while.
It is a classic. It's essentially a logic error in how Windows finds an executable. If a service points to a file path like C, program files, custom app, service.exe, but doesn't put quotes around it, an attacker can drop a malicious file named program.exe in the C drive. When the computer boots, Windows sees the space after program and tries to run program.exe first.
And since services usually run with high privileges, that malicious file gets the keys to the kingdom. So, who's affected here?
First is CVE 2020-36933, which hits HTC IPTInstaller 4.0.9. Then there's CVE 2020-36934 in the Deep Instinct Windows agent, specifically version 1.2.24.0. That one's interesting because it's tied to the HP SureSense service. If you're using HP business laptops, that might be on your radar.
HP SureSense is pretty common in enterprise fleets. What about the third one?
That's CVE 2020-36935, and it's in KMSpico version 17.1.0.0. Now, KMSpico is a tool often used for, let's say, unofficial Windows activation. If your users are running that, you've probably got bigger policy problems. But it's another avenue for local privilege escalation.
Right. If KMSpico is on a work machine, the unquoted path is just the tip of the iceberg. But for the HP and HTC stuff, this is a reminder that even solved bug classes like unquoted paths still linger in older software versions. Check those paths, people.
Exactly. Now, moving from old bugs to very current headaches. Microsoft is investigating reports that the January 2026 Patch Tuesday updates are bricking Windows 11 devices.
Bricking? Like, won't turn on bricking?
Close. Users are seeing a blue screen of death with the error unmountable board muddle. It seems to be hitting after the update finishes and the machine tries to restart. It just gets stuck in a boot loop.
That is a nightmare for IT teams. It's one thing to have an app crash, but if the OS won't even load, you can't exactly push a remote fix easily. Didn't we see something like this with a CrowdStrike update a while back? That unmountable feeling is very familiar.
The symptoms are similar, yeah. Microsoft hasn't given a root cause yet, but they've acknowledged they're looking into it. If you haven't deployed the January 2026 updates to your entire fleet yet, you might want to pause and test on a small group first.
And that's not the only fire Microsoft is putting out this week. They actually released an emergency out-of-band update on Saturday for Outlook.
Yeah, this was a weird one. Outlook Classic was just freezing. It wouldn't open if you had PST files stored in cloud storage like OneDrive or SharePoint.
Wait, I thought Microsoft's official stance for years has been, don't put PSTs in the cloud because it causes corruption.
It is, but people do it anyway. And apparently, a recent update made that don't do this into a you can't do this by accident. Since it was stopping people from even opening their mail, they pushed an emergency fix for Windows 10, 11, and Server.
So a rough start to 2026 for the Windows admins. Boot failures on one hand, Outlook freezes on the other. It never ends.
It really doesn't. Speaking of things that don't end, let's talk about Sandworm. The Russian state-sponsored group has been linked to a failed wiper attack on Poland's energy systems from late last month.
Sandworm. They're the ones behind the NotPetya attacks and the blackouts in Ukraine, right? They have a very specific interest in power grids.
They do. This time, they were using a new piece of malware called DynoWiper. The goal was clearly destructive, to wipe data and disrupt Poland's power grid. But fortunately, the attack failed to achieve its main objectives.
That's a huge relief, but it's a massive red flag. Poland is a NATO member and a major hub for aid going into Ukraine. Sandworm targeting their energy infrastructure with a new wiper like DynoWiper suggests they're getting more aggressive outside of Ukrainian borders.
Exactly. It shows they're still iterating on their toolkit. Even if this one failed, DynoWiper is now something every critical infrastructure provider in Europe needs to be hunting for.
On a slightly more positive note, or at least a proactive one, 1Password is adding a new feature to help users spot phishing sites.
I like this move. They've added built-in pop-up warnings. If you land on a suspected phishing URL, the password manager will actually flag it before you try to autofill your credentials.
That's smart because phishing is getting so much harder to spot with the naked eye. If the tool you trust to hold your passwords says, "Hey, this site looks like a fake," that's a much stronger deterrent than just a generic browser warning.
Right. It's about putting the friction exactly where the mistake happens. It's a solid layer of defense in depth for the average user.
All right, so to recap, if you're an admin, maybe hold off on those January Windows 11 updates for a few more days while Microsoft figures out the boot loops. Check for those unquoted service paths in HP and HTC software. Even if the CVEs say 2020, the risk is real today.
And if you're in critical infrastructure, keep an eye out for DynoWiper. Sandworm is clearly testing new doors.
Your daily AI-powered security briefing. If this saved you time, subscribe. We're here every morning.
Stay patched, stay paranoid.